Hello and welcome to UniVerse Touch. This is our fourth episode, and as every week, we're coming here live every Thursday at 7 o'clock Central European Time to shape a completely new narrative for this world. And this is a narrative where you can be both spiritual and wealthy, you can care deeply for the world, and live an extraordinary life. Because it's possible. And it's not only possible, it's what I believe needs to be the prototype, the archetype of the human of the future. So, as you're coming in for this show, allow yourself to drop into the magic of the universe. This show is being created for this exact reason, to allow you to be touched from concepts that go way beyond our linear reality. And understand that there are dynamics that go way, way into what we will call real life magic, and that they're available to all of us. And the more we get in touch with them through the words of others, through the experience of others, the more they become available to us. So this show is made for that. Allow yourself to open, allow yourself to remember or the magical moments you had in your life. And through my words, travel into a reality that anything is possible. Especially for today's episode, which I'm going to guide you into a very, very discussed concept in the coaching world, which is the quantum leaps. It has been talked so many times over, and there's a lot of myths around it. I think quantum leaps and manifestation are probably the more discussed subject and more misunderstood, in my point of view. So, quantum leaps, it's a very controversial subject because the word itself derives from quantum physics. But it does apply a lot in personal development because the deepest truths of personal development actually touch the principles of quantum physics. And it is exactly there where science and spirituality come together and they're fully perceived and understood from one human being, which is me, which is you, which is each one of us. So these two very different languages that we have in the world, science, which addresses the logical part of us, and spirituality that addresses the transcendental part of us, they do come together when we are looking deep inside ourselves and we change and shift things inside that directly reflect on the outside. So this is exactly what a quantum leap, as it's called in the coaching world, is. It is a shift that seems almost unperceivable in the inside that creates massive results in the outside. So allow me to take you into an example from my life so you can really understand how this works more precisely. In the last episode, we were talking about the resurfacing part, which is the third stage of an awakening. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes, I really enforce you to go and check them out because it is a sequence and you might find yourself being in one of the stages. The resurfacing stage is the one that you're coming out of the cave time and the world starts responding to you. The quantum leap, it's a 10x, 10 times bigger than that. So, in my own personal story, how it happened was that I was coming out of the cave time. The world would start giving me invitations to create different spaces, to host events, I was doing my own experiment with the wearables. I was being hired from big conferences to host meditation rooms and to do different types of experiences. And then there was one thought that felt very juicy one day. What if I can create a small meditation circle so I can start exploring further how collective intelligence, which was one aspect that I really loved, geek in and dive in, works in real time, in real space. And then all of a sudden, from this, like, oh, that would be so much fun. And I don't want to do it as a work, I don't want to offer it. It would just be for us, it will just be a beautiful thing with friends, super simple, nothing extraordinary. And then all of a sudden, that start coming all together. And one piece start piecing itself after the other. And all of a sudden, in a few days, we have an amazing 3 people's group that feels very aligned and very expansive when we talk about that to start it. The whole process is like maybe a week long. We're not talking about big processes here, right? And the very first day that we start the meditation in a small friends group, one of the most extraordinary quantum leaps happened for me. But before I take you there, I will take you into the stages way before that were invisible to the eye. Almost a year and a half before this moment of opening this small meditation circle in Zurich, I was in a club. It was the first day after opening after summer, and it was hot like hell. If you know Switzerland, you know that you will need a very special permit to establish air conditioning in your establishments because they are very sustainable. And most of the places they will not have unless they really need it. So if they're only a summer location, they might be allowed to have. But if they're a winter location, they will not. And this club is an underground techno club that is only for winter. It just happens to be that when it opened around the end of September, that day was really, really warm in Zurich, which is not very common. So we are inside this club. It's packed. And we are dying out of the heat and the lack of good air quality. So literally, I couldn't breathe. I needed to go out to breathe a little bit and come back. And I'm having this moment. It is very difficult to stay inside the space. It is packed, you cannot breathe. And on top of that, the music is really average, like nothing exceptional, nothing that will keep you dancing, just background music, which is not supposed to be because it's the dance club. And on top of that, a friend of mine gives me a very important hint in this whole journey of awareness. And he tells me, "Do you see that guy over there?" I'm like, "Sure." It's like, this is one of the biggest dealers in Zurich. Means a lot of the things that are being trafficked and consumed inside this club is being transported from this one person and then distributed. And I'm staying there in this controversial reality, and I'm having a moment of very profound realization. If that one person, we are talking about one person, decides that one day he just wants to have fun, or he's just high and he just has a crazy idea, and he decides to mix what he's receiving and distributing, which is all types of substances, into the world, If he decides to just mix it one day because it's fun, half of the club could be dead the day after. And in that particular moment, somehow I realized deeper what influence truly means. And there's different layers of influence. There is influence that comes because somebody told you something and that generated an idea, that generated an action, and you change your life. And this is incredible. But there are layers of influence that go all the way into human lives. And this is profound. So that day, I'm sitting in the club. I'm hearing this piece of information that came out of nowhere. I am experiencing this very uncomfortable situation. And I'm realizing how much of a sheep behavior we tend to have most of the time in our lives. Everybody inside there, sitting there, suffering, myself included, not leaving the place, not going somewhere else, as if there were not options, but just putting the head down, suffering in a situation that was uncomfortable enough to be uncomfortable, but not horrible to make you protest. And some players, if they would like, they could move and shape this whole environment without any of the people involved having an awareness of who it is and what happened. So that day, I really realized that we really need to work with the ones who are shaping the world, with the ones who are influencing the world. Because one move can change a lot of things and can affect a lot of lives. And sure, it is important to influence everybody who is taking the action. But how much faster and how much more efficient it is actually to influence the one who's driving the action. Way, way more. This moment was what I believe the beginning of the quantum leap, without me having any idea about it. But this moment, this awareness, triggered something very deep inside of me and somehow established this new understanding that the point is to work with the ones who are influencing the world. Time goes by, I have completely forgotten about the moment. Life happens, and I'm having this thought about this small meditation circle. We open the meditation circle, and I have just invited my friends to call anybody that would like to have this first day, and we were supposed to do that weekly. And we actually ended up doing the circle for years after that. In the very first day, from the friend of a friend of a friend, comes one woman, which I don't know. She does the meditation with us. And after that, we sit for a moment to discuss because it feels that there is something massive happening. In a few moments, we end up realizing that we have exactly the same vision for the world and that we want to implement it in very similar tools, but we have complementary capacities. This woman had just agreed to create a spiritual conference in Davos for the World Economic Forum. And it became crystal clear to both of us that I was supposed to create part of it. Let's pause here for a moment. Because this is massive. This is something I have never anticipated. I didn't start the meditation circle for this reason. It was just out of pure interest. It happened without any additional effort from my side. It was fully aligned from both sides, and it literally extrapolated me into a whole different stratosphere. So to give you a preview of what happened after, we ended up creating a conference that was hosting around 300 to 400 people daily for an entire week during the World Economic Forum a few months after this meditation circle. I ended up being one of the co-organizers. I ended up leaving my corporate job, leaving my apartment, starting my business, all because of this call. So this moment literally changed my life. I start being in touch with a completely different audience. I go to work with people that I didn't even know exist before. I got to realize how many people are working and creating businesses out of spiritual understandings first, which I had no idea it exists in the world. I completely dropped my architecture career. I went full on into embodying the spiritual entrepreneur identity. And it happened as a quantum leap. So this is literally how a quantum leap works. You don't plan for it, but it's being planted inside of you over different moments of awareness, matched together with action. So this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't opened the meditation circle. If I would have let myself believe that that doesn't make sense, like, why am I even doing that? It's just a small thing. Why should I do that? So that was a very present voice in my mind before opening the meditation circle. But there was a deeper voice that was saying that, like, but you'd love to explore this aspect, and it's coming so effortlessly, and you feel excited about it. Why wouldn't you do it? And I decided to follow this voice. The thing is, this voice usually, it's a more quiet voice because it's the voice of the heart. And the heart whispers, doesn't shout. The mind is shouting to us, don't do that, doesn't make sense, like that, we don't have time. All of this is mind. The heart goes like, but you want to do it, don't you? And you can, so why not? That's it. It's not trying to convince you. It's not trying to prove that's the right thing. It just informs you that there's something there for you if you trust it. But then you need to trust it and you need to take the action. And only through the action the quantum leap happens. So quantum leaps are a match between awareness that oftentimes comes in the most unexpected of ways. So I would have never in a million years believe that one of the biggest changes in my life and in my career will happen inside a techno club. Like, do you understand how completely off anything I could predict is that? And these are the moments that sometimes plant an awareness that's way beyond our logical mind. And oftentimes it happens when you're walking in the park, when you're having a conversation with somebody, with a random person on the street, when you're in the shower, when you're listening to something that has nothing to do with your career, when you're talking with your partner, when you're fighting with somebody. They really come from very, very unexpected sources. And they usually come when you're truly living. So that moment of awareness happened because all of these factors, the heat, the terrible music, the information about this particular person that was completely off what I knew life to be, they all brought me into the moment, and I was so present. I was like, whoa, okay. These are dynamics I have never thought about before. I was there fully. And then the awareness dropped, right? The awareness dropped, it got planted inside my system, and I kept working on the things that was working. I kept doing the experiments, I kept doing the meditation circles, I kept doing what I was doing until I heard this tender little voice. I feel excited about that. Let's do it. And I did it. And I also observed if that was coming easily and effortlessly. And I think that's a very important part. Because oftentimes we are informed that we need to take an action, but the moment is not the right yet, it's not right. So possibly if I would have started the meditation circle right after the awareness, I wasn't ready, the world was not ready, the woman was not there. They haven't even decided they will do that in Davos. Too early. But when I decided to do it because it felt that now is the right time, then everything was ready. I was ready to leave my job. The woman was ready to make the event. I had all the people in place, and it just fell into place. So this is an incredibly important aspect, the timing, that I almost never hear about it. And timing is not scheduling for when it makes sense. That's a very different concept. It's a different thing to put things on your calendar. It's a different thing to be able to sense when there is a pause, there is a start, and there is a stop. It literally feels like a go sign. And many times I'm asked from my clients or from people who really want to join our experiences, why do you announce only a month and a half ago before? And I'm like, it's not that I announce a month and a half before the event. It's not that it's a strategy. There is just a moment when I get the go sign. And then I know that the energetic field is open and that this is the right time. And that's when I announce. It's, trust me, it's not to make other people's lives more difficult, to have to reschedule and shift things around and move their families and move their commitments so they can be in our events. That's not the point. Even though I'm very happy when people do that and it feels magical. But I don't do it for that. I do it before there is a moment that the clarity comes, that now, there, then that. That's it. And when you listen to that, usually it's super precise. You get minimum distortion, you get minimum of the wrong people, it just becomes mastery. And I believe that business will benefit a lot from that way of behaving. I'm aware, though, that this is the complete opposite of how we operate in business right now. Most of the businesses right now, they have a pre-planned timeline that many times is just assumed. So you're just saying, okay, this is the vision, let's just put it on a linear timeline so that it makes sense. And it does, usually. And it also very rarely happens. If you're running a business, you know what I'm talking about. The interesting part about that, and what I would like to introduce or suggest here, is that we might want to start allowing the possibility of quantum leaps happening in this timeline. So instead of going just linear, incremental, okay, the next month will happen that, and then we have so many clients, and and it goes like that. Can we believe that it can go like simple, easy, point, boop, level up? Simple, easy, point, boop, level up. because it can. Because if it can happen to a person like me, it can happen to any type of entity. And businesses are also entities. The problem is like the business needs to believe in it. That means that it has to create a culture that allows for that to happen. Because our intention and our awareness are powerful, powerful tools. So if we only believe that the business can grow in a linear way, guess what? That's exactly how the business will grow. But not because it cannot grow otherwise, but because we have created the set of awareness for this entity that is called our business to grow that way. And this is massive because we keep doing that. And then because we observe that it happens, we believe that that's the only way. But we never go back and say, wait a second, let me see what is the set of beliefs that I implanted in this initiative in the very beginning. And do you ever get to test what happens if I implant a different set of beliefs? Something to be considered. So I'll give you a small preview of what comes next. I am right now in this moment in my life conducting another experiment with the universe. And this experiment is actually not about personal development. It does derive from there, but it is about money. I will not share too much with you yet because this is going to be our next month. So, month number 2, that will start from the next episode in March. It will be all about all the secrets I have explored about money and the ways money works that is really different from what we've been told. Because I believe that when we combine these two, spirituality and wealth, and we understand the dynamics between them, something completely different comes out from this mix. And it is very curious. I'm very curious why we have kept these two separate. Because in my experience, when we have all the aspects that we have kept separate for some time, it is because they have tremendous power together. It's not because they cannot mix. It is actually the opposite. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for month 2. Will come. You will be mind blown. And it's not the typical let's make money talks. It's literally the dynamics of how to relate, how money works, and how it works completely in a different way than we have been told in the average education. So back to the quantum leaps. So we are right there in the event in Davos. And I am looking around and I'm like, how did that even happen? I could have dreamed about working with world leaders in the World Economic Forum. Like, this was literally the field where people who influence, where people who influence are. Remember the thought that if we want to change something, we really need to work with the ones who influence? Year and a half before, year and a half later, I'm there, co-organizing it. One of the spaces that was literally one of the most impactful in the field of conscious business and spirituality in the whole Davos. So if you have been to Davos the last 5 years and you have seen all of these spaces popping up about spirituality and meditation and awareness and sustainability, we were there already 5 years ago, hosting ceremonies with shamans in the promenade, having talks that were completely out of this field back then. We literally feel that we dropped like a love bomb. It had all types of implications, but I will not go into that story. The important part is that this particular leap completely changed my storyline. After that, I started being fully remote. I have my own business. I'm working with entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself because before I was an employee. And I have detached from the security of my corporate job, from the apartment where I'm living, and I go fully into trust mode with the universe. The interesting aspect of this quantum leap is that it went way further than I could have ever imagined, even with this first huge leap. So the first huge leap took me in contact with this incredible audience, which are the spiritual entrepreneurs, and with the field of the World Economic Forum. But then it didn't happen what I was expecting, because what I was expecting to happen was that this space will become a long-term space, a stable co-working, co-living that I will be running together with the team. And I was already designing it because I used to be an architect. And then the world changed. And if you remember what happened in 2020, you might recall what I'm talking about. So COVID happens, and none of the plans take place. And I am there, having done the first leap, and I'm just about to do the second one. I have no idea. But I'm in a moment that I'm saying, okay, my plan was to leave my corporate job, leave my apartment, and start fostering this space. And obviously, this is not what's going to happen because it's not happening after. The conference was amazing, but it didn't become a long-term space. So I have no plan. So I just expressed to the universe that that was my plan. I don't have a plan right now. So take me wherever I'm supposed to be in service. I had no idea what I was calling in. One of the most incredible, impactful, shaping, volatile, extraordinary, I don't even know how to describe it, phase of my life started. And funnily enough, it was right when the whole world was closed down. And I wasn't. I was being transferred from one incredible space to another incredible space with personal invitations, with people who are creating incredible things in this world. I was hosted fully. I was having these amazing talks. I was connecting with people who are really shifting the future, with creators, with entrepreneurs, with investors, with landowners. And it was moving me. When the one place was complete, another incredible invitation was opening without any effort from my side, without searching anything. And when that was complete, another one was opening. And it felt like the universe was taking me literally to what I said, to all the places that I was able to be in service during this very interesting period in our human history, during COVID. So during the years of COVID, I traveled in more than 9 to 10 countries per year. I was hosted in incredible villas in Ibiza, in amazing sustainable spaces in Sri Lanka. I got in touch with one of my favorite mentors who owns an incredible chateau outside of Paris. It was mind blowing. I was like, this is a whole different universe. And I have the sense that that's where the word universe start being implanted inside of me. And now is the name of our private club. And it's one of the words I'd like to use the most. This show has this name. And it came from that period when something was just popping, something incredible, and the next incredible invitation was popping. I was just saying hashtag universe. And it became so natural to me to expect, actually, not to expect, but to trust that the next amazing thing will happen completely effortlessly without me having to worry about anything because hashtag universe. And that's what I'm bringing to you, because it comes from experience. I have lived these moments. I have sat with these human beings. I have traveled to these places. So when everybody was telling me, oh my God, the world is ending, I was like, no, no, no. The world is just beginning. So during this period of COVID, I was one of the people who was delighted with what was happening. Not because of the hardship and the deaths, obviously not, but because I realized that in this moment in time, the entire humanity, or almost the entire humanity, but a massive percentage of human beings, they were going into stage 2. They were going into cave time. And I knew that this is the stage before a global awakening. And we wouldn't have done it otherwise because we had too much to lose. But when the opportunity in the face of a virus came, we did it. And it was strange, and it was difficult, and people got into their shadows, and people were alone, and it was necessary, and it was incredible. And most people that never connected to themselves, most people that never connected to their families, most people that never made children, that would have never had the time to make children. And more than ever, people start realizing what is important. And you might be one of them, or you might be one that knows other people who had this stage during COVID. And the results of it start showing right now. Because remember, cave time is just stage number 2, right? So after the cave time, you need the resurfacing, and then you go into the quantum leaps. You don't just, okay, I have a realization, let's just change everything. It doesn't happen like that. There is a progression. You have the awakening, you have the cave time, you have the resurfacing phase, and then the quantum leaps start happening. Do you really believe it is a coincidence that we are having this outbreak of AI happening now? It's not. It's a whole new stream of consciousness that we are getting in touch with. And of course, there's good and bad implications, as with everything. But it is a massive leap for humanity. It's not a coincidence. It is just the outcome of the inner work that happened. It was a forced one, but it happened nevertheless during COVID. So there are personal quantum leaps and there are collective quantum leaps. And they do look somewhat different, but oftentimes they just come very fast. They change everything. You don't really understand how it happened. It is way more aligned than you could have ever done yourself. They take you by surprise and they rewrite the entire story. So there was before that and after that. A different person, a different reality, a different profession many times, different family many times. It's just like before and after. So quantum leaps. It is a subject that I love to talk so much about because I have done so many in my life. And trust me, most of the times it was not something I was ready, prepared, or thinking that I want to do. Because I have the sense that you cannot actually plan quantum leaps. You have to open yourself to them. And that's very different. You really have to surrender, not to say, okay, let's manipulate a quantum leap to happen. It doesn't happen like that. It needs to have a crack into your normal awareness so that you can leap. And usually these cracks happen in moments of just life, normal moments. You observe something, you're present in something hurts, something is loving and blissful, something, and an awareness that you didn't have before just drops. and it builds, it's planted, it starts growing, and at some point there is an outbreak. And then after the outbreak is literally like a plant. After the outbreak, you have to foster it and say, okay, well, that happened, but how do I take care of it? So bugs and animals don't come and eat it. So you foster it and you water it, you take care of it because it's fragile in the beginning. And that stage is very easy for you to drop the quantum leap and say, well, it didn't happen exactly as I was thinking. It seemed different when it happened. It was not perfect. So let me just drop it. No, it's still a tiny little plant. You water it, and then it will start growing. And down the line, it will become a tree. And down the line, you will see other trees popping around from other moments of awareness you have planted. They had the outbreak, you foster them, they become a tree. It doesn't become a forest from one moment to another. I know that that sells very well, but actually it's not true. And we all know it. So can we just start going into truths instead of trying to convince somebody that's of a children fairy tale? Life can be incredible when it's real. Otherwise, we just keep lying to each other. We keep believing that we are missing something because somebody else has figured out something that we have never seen in our lives happening. Well, guess what? It's not happening in theirs either. They're just selling you something that you wish was real, and it's not. So, can we just drop that? There's so much magic we can go into if we drop into truth. We don't need to pretend that life is different, but we can open to magical moments like the quantum leaps. So, this realization and what happened in this small meditation back in the days was literally the sourdough from what I'm creating right now with the UniVerse of Aelia Kos. I realized that one of the important parts of the quantum leap is that it happened together with others. So I didn't call in this person who extrapolated me into the World Economic Forum. My friend called in a person that he trusted and called in another person that he trusted. The power of the networks. So our private club is exactly like that. I'm not supposed to find each one of you who's supposed to be inside there. I'm supposed to find a few, and then these are finding the next ones. And because the link and the trust is so deep, this link and the trust is so deep, and it start branching out. And when you start creating these incredible connections and you create spaces where all people come together in points in time, then we actually really drop into creating these quantum leaps on demand. And that doesn't mean that we know the outcome. That's very different. We just know that something magical will happen because the energy is right, the intention is right, and we are there fully present. So that's exactly what happens in our private club. And I have been mind blown and honored beyond comprehension from what happened from our last event. Because we have been having incredible results before. We have been having people relocating, opening businesses, fundraising for each other. We have been having people falling in love and moving countries. We have been having incredible things happening in our previous events. But from this one, not one, but two human babies got conceived. Like two of the participants, different couples, they were wishing, of course, to get pregnant, got pregnant right after the experience. And when I heard the news, I was like, oh my Lord, this is a whole different level of activation. Now we are able to call in human life, human beings are hearing our call. The energy is so strong and so precise and so beautiful that human babies decide to honor us with their presence on this plane. Whoa. So I am over the top for what will happen next. Because I'm like, okay, what is the next level? Like, this is already massive. What I cannot even think about the next level. But having this experience in this lifetime, I know that there is a next level. And I'm excited for it. And that's the right energy for a quantum leap. So we are just opening doors for the next experience in April. It's the first weekend of April. It will be again in Greece, in this extraordinary space that we have found, which is a beautiful, beautiful land, massive land. It's 400 acres, fully private, its own water, wild horses. It's a small world. So we're enabling this property into the new owner and into the new vision. It has always been a visionary property. And now it's ready to step up. So if you're interested for that, ask me for more details. And we're going to be hosting our next experience. So I'm wondering, after babies comes what? Can't wait to know. We will all know after the experience. If you want to join us, there is an application process because we pre-select the participants to be able to create these quantum leaps on demand. And if you're the right person, you will see why. And if you have the chance to be with us, you will completely understand the process. And from there, only specific few are invited to become part and a member, full-on member of our club, because we're creating very, very precise energetics, and it needs to be like that, right? So if you're interested in joining us and see together what's happening after babies, let me know. You can either comment me here, you can find me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, always as Aelia Kos, so AELIA KOS, to drop me a line if you're interested about joining us in the experiences, joining us in the club, or working for me to really see how we can create these massive shifts for you. So this is a little bit about the quantum leaps. Next month, because we're starting a new month next week, we will go into another subject, which is the subject of money and wealth. And this is a subject that for some reason, life has taken me on a ride. So I have a lot of things to share with you. And they're not anything we have heard around. They're the real truth about both what has happened, how it happened, and what it initiated. Every different move of money, when money comes, when money doesn't come, when it manifests, when it's predictable, there's a lot of ways that money is around. And each one of them triggers different dynamics. I'm excited to go into that. So if you're also, join me next Thursday at exactly the same time here on YouTube. If you think that that's a subject that somebody needs to hear about, either what we were talking about today or this whole month, which is about spirituality and the very first awakening, or what we're going to be talking about next month, which is money and wealth, and how we're going to be combining the two towards month number 3, please share this channel with them. Tell them to subscribe, and also you can click the notify button, because then you get the exact link of the next episode, and I'm announcing them earlier so you have time to plan, to allow time in your schedule. And if you don't have time to come here live, that's exactly the point why we're doing here, so they're pre-recorded and you can always come back and watch them again. I'll tell you something that you might not believe. This episodes are literally channeled, and even myself come back and listen to them. And oftentimes I'm like, whoa, what did I say there? Okay, I need to write it down because this is something that is really coming through me. And it is a message both for me, for you, and for the world, all at the same time. So come back to them. If you feel that there was something there, come back to them. See how they inform you the second time. Talk about what you learned here with other people. Allow inspiration and realizations to come after. This is not a let's chat kind of show. This is a that has been my life experience. I know that my life experience happened the way it happened for me to be able to share it with others so they can walk the path more effortlessly and more blissfully. Let's do that, magnify it, do it for you, do it for myself, do it for everybody around us, do it for the collective, so we can start quantum leaping, all of us together collectively. Can you just imagine that? Can you just allow yourself to imagine that for a moment? Because I can, and it will be beyond this world. And it starts with a moment of awareness from the words of somebody else, the right action, connecting to the right people, listening to your heart, creating from there. Boom. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be sharing this wisdom, this life, these thoughts, these insights with you. Looking forward to see you to the next one. And have a wonderful, wonderful time being present and alive in the universe. Thank you.